It is with deep sadness that we announce the passing of a loving, irreplaceable mother, grandmother, aunt, sister, grandaunt, cousin, and friend, Mildred Lyone Dujon, who resided in New York but is originally from Grand Riviere Groselet, St. Lucia, who passed away on February 6, 2015 at the age of 67. She was predeceased by her mother, Felicity Ofano Dujon, father, Samuel Joseph Dujon, her sister, Mary Fulgence Lucas, and brother, Peter Dujon. Left to mourn her 6 children, her heart and soul. 4 daughters, Claudette Dujon of New York, Simonette Dujon of New York, Victoria Rosie Dujon of New York, Suzette Dujon of New York. 2 sons, Simeon Dujon of Florida, Cedric Dujon of New York. Her precious grandchildren, 2 granddaughters, Steffi Ann Dujon, Ashley Dujon. 5 grandsons, Craig Dujon, Andy Dujon, Nicholas Dujon, Ryan Dujon, Jeffrey Dujon, also her one and only godchild. Great-grandson, Gabriel Dujon. Daughter-in-law, Winsome Dujon. The family pet, Cutie Dujon, who was the cat. Sisters, Julia Dujon Harley of New York, Christina Irene Duncan of St. Lucia, Jacinta Babsy Prosper Dujon of New York, Francisca Betty Sylvester of St. Lucia. Brothers, Cyril Dujon of New York, Stephen Moran Dujon of New York, Jerome Dujon of Maryland, Moses Clive Fulgence of South Carolina, Dennis Dujon of Bishop's Gap, Castries, St. Lucia. Nieces, Jada Dujon of Maryland, Nicole Dujon of Maryland, Stadio Dujon of Tennessee, Danielle Dujon of the USA, Sharon Dujon of Castries, St. Lucia, Gifta Dujon of Castries, St. Lucia, Teresa Dujon of Castries, St. Lucia, Denise Dujon of Castries, St. Lucia, Dana Dujon of Castries, St. Lucia, Elizabeth Duncan of the USA, Vanessa Dujon of St. Lucia, Fidelia Darlene Edwin of Brooklyn, Lucy Delma Clovis of Bella Rosa Groselet, St. Lucia, Agnes Aggie Clovis Mark of Bella Rosa Groselet, St. Lucia, Paula Edwin of Bella Rosa Groselet, St. Lucia. Nephews, Amber Dujon of New York, Erland Dujon of Oklahoma, Damien Dujon of Maryland, Leonard Dujon of Canada, Haley Dujon of Tennessee, Zion Dujon of Tennessee, Dave Dujon of St. Lucia, Davian Dujon of St. Lucia, Vincent Tony Clovis of Bella Rosa Groselet, St. Lucia, Eugene Wayne Edwin of Bella Rosa Groselet, St. Lucia, Clifton Clovis of Brooklyn, New York. Grandnieces and nephews, too numerous to mention, in the USA, Canada, and St. Lucia. Aunt, Susan Dujon of the Bronx, New York. Sisters-in-law, Rosanna Tika Clovis Edwin, Sharon Dujon of Maryland, Avon Dujon of New York, Wanda Zena Dujon of New York, Glory Dujon of Bishop's Gap, Castries, St. Lucia, Loretta Fulgence of South Carolina. Brother-in-law, DeCourcy Hurley. Sons-in-law, Charlie Sonson of Groselet, St. Lucia, Michael Larry Agbajelo of New York, Gregory Lomax Mount Vernon of New York. Left to mourn, Mary Pascal of Trinidad, West Indies, Veronica Lewis and family in Florida, USA, Patrick and Maureen McGowan of Groselet, St. Lucia, Mr. and Mrs. Hudson Dujon of Up the Moor and Castries, St. Lucia, Margarita Felix and family of Rodney Bay Groselet, St. Lucia, Helena Charles and family of Grand Riviere Groselet, St. Lucia, the Edwin and Clovis family of Bella Rosa Groselet, St. Lucia, Antoinette Philip of Massad Groselet, St. Lucia, Laura and Grant Moise and family of the Bronx, Lorna Williams of Groselet, St. Lucia, Julita Jew Herman of Moshi Groselet, St. Lucia, Michael Dorsey. Grandnieces and nephews, too numerous to mention, both in the USA, Canada, and St. Lucia. The family would like to express our sincere gratitude to all for their prayers and continuous support. The funeral service for the late Mildred Dujon will be held on Saturday, 14 February 2015 at St. John Chrysostom Church, 985 East 167th Street, Bronx, New York, 10459, and interment at St. Raymond's Cemetery in the Bronx.